James Vince digs Hampshire out of a hole. There were just 2 hours of play possible on day one, but that was enough time for Hampshire to find some quick early wickets to see Middlesex with some work to do at 90 for 4. But they'd have to do so without the help of John Simpson. He was unable to add to his overnight 20, another for Abbott. Anderson was struck in a sensitive area with some drizzle starting to pour, and after a long wait with players off the field, his return was brief, out LBW to the very next delivery, and Middlesex in all sorts of bother. There was no change to the score when Abbas produced a beauty to beat Harris's forward defensive. 3 wickets had fallen for just 10 day 2 runs. Cullen managed to stick in there with Gubbins, long enough to give Middlesex some hope, and the pair ticked the score towards 150. Gubbins was the last set batsman and was doing all he could for his side. His knock made its way to 50. A single off Barker was enough to get him there. It was a great knock considering the circumstances, and he'd helped his side fight back to the cusp of 150. They'd reached the lunch break with the score 147 for 7. They brought up the 150 soon after the restart, but Middlesex were back in trouble. Gubbins had to go, bowled as he looked to leave Abbas. Blake Cullen had done well to stick around, but he couldn't last much longer after the departure of Gubbins. Abbott with his 5th, caught by Vince. Tim Murtagh was the last man in, and he did his best to push up the score with 3 quick boundaries, but the innings was finished off by Abbott, trapping Bamber in front for his 6th wicket. Middlesex all out for 172. There were starts for Robson and Davis at the top of the order, but Nick Gubbins was the only Middlesex batsman with a score of any note. Hampshire will be delighted with their bowling efforts. Kyle Abbott, the standout performer, with 6 for 44. He was ably supported by Mohammad Abbas, who took 3 for 46 from his 21 overs. Middlesex came out hoping to take advantage of the same seamer-friendly conditions that had assisted Abbott and Abbas, and they had an early breakthrough, courtesy of Ethan Bamber, who got one to nip back down the slope to clean up Ian Holland for a duck. Tom Alsop was the new man in. He clipped Murtagh off his pads for 4 to push the score on to 9 for 1, but then 2 wickets in 2 balls had Middlesex right back in the match. Bamber had Weatherly caught behind for 3 in the final ball of his over, and with the first ball of the next, Murtagh trapped Alsop for 6. North East did what he could to steady the ship alongside James Vince, but Middlesex had their tails up and had the number 4 out for just 11, LBW to Harris. The visitors avoided any more damage in the overs before tea, but they needed to find their feet. The score 47 for 4. Dawson and Vince ticked the score past 50 at the restart, but Middlesex weren't to be denied. They extinguished the spark of a partnership pretty quickly. Dawson out at first slip off the bowling of Murtagh, the score 67 for 5. Lewis McManus couldn't do any better. He was out LBW for 1, and Vince was rapidly running out of batting partners. He was having to do the heavy lifting himself. He and Barker had Hampshire on 100 though. 3 figures reached when at times it had looked unlikely. The Hampshire skipper then found his way to 50 runs. The hosts' march halted by Vince, the deficit now dwindling towards 50. But he'd be unable to bat his way to the close. Bowled by Cullen for 62, at least he'd helped his side escape from what could have been another damaging collapse. Barker and Abbott survived through to the close. Bad light brought the day to a premature end. Hampshire on 131 for 7, now trailing by just 41.